Let me start by saying I liked Blue Beetle. I was reluctant to see it mainly because the marketing behind this film wasn't great. I went to see it this weekend, opening weekend, because I wanted to support it, and I know how important it is to support films that deserve representation. Now, this is a predominantly Latino cast, Blue Beetle. And tentpole movies like this, blockbusters, they cost a lot to make. But if they profit, they help fund indie movies, my favorite type of movies. They help fund indie movies. So this one took, I think the production cost for this one was $125 million. Not a whole lot for a comic book movie, but a lot. If this profits, if this is a return on their investment, which means we would have to support it, then we will get more. Hollywood's going to put the money behind what they think we want, and sometimes they're wrong, and what we support. That's the formula. If we earn this money back, this investment back that they put behind this historic film, then they will make more. It's that simple. If we don't support it, they won't. So, so I wanted to support it because I understand that films like these, when they profit, they fund the other films. They fund, if we want to see more Latino leads in romantic comedies or dramas or even biopics or thrillers, we need to support the ones that they have invested in. So that lets them know that, yeah, we want representation. Look at Crazy Rich Asians. They realize we want to see these movies. Look at Parasite. Parasite, uh, I think past lives happened because of Parasite. Now, I know there are other contributing factors, but you have a first time director who is killing the game right now. I think she has Celine Song, the director and writer of Past Lives, as the best film of the year so far. It's August. The best film. But that happened because we supported Parasite. We support Crazy Rich Asians. We're supporting these films. So we'll get more. That's the formula. So if we support Blue Beetle, we'll get more representation. This wasn't a bad first swing. It's not perfect. I have my issues with it. And if this gets the support, then we'll get a sequel. And we'll see Zolo Maranduena in other DC films, perhaps, going forward, his cameos in others, because I think he did a great job. I believe that he delivered the type of vulnerable, innocent performance, very reminiscent of Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man in 2002. I think that's the type of performance he delivers. I think he delivers such a sweet and charismatic performance as a reluctant superhero. I think he did great. I think this is worth seeing, despite my gripes. I think George Lopez was phenomenal. I think he delivered exactly what was needed, a torch passing type of performance that was funny, because we're going to get that from George Lopez. It was hilarious and torch passing. He did not upstage or overshadow any of his other cast members. It was very complimentary in a way that was very embracive. And I appreciated that about a legend. That's what the legend should do, pass the torch to the next generation. And I think that was exemplary. I think he exemplified what should be done with legends of his caliber. I liked the story. The story was not necessarily original. It was familiar, but familiar in a cushiony way. What set it aside is his family. Zolo plays Jaime, a recent college graduate who is hoping to land a job that will help him take care of his family. Now, not the most original story ideal concept, sure. What gave it heart, though, are the performances and how tight knit the family is, and how rooted it is in Latino culture. And uh, I think they all did great. But aside from the performances, the story was just very familiar. I'll get into my gripes about the film. First, Susan Sarandon. She was unnecessary. Her performance, the casting of her and the performance weren't great. Let's talk about the performance first. Now, the performance was very milquetoast. It was general. It didn't add value. It was the same villain we've seen 100 times on screen. She added nothing of value. And also, I think she took up space. I I think she took up space. I think this should have been her role should have gone to a Mexican or Mexican American actor or actress who I think would have contributed value to the story and would have filled theater seats. I don't think anyone said, "Ooh, wait a minute. I'll see Blue Beetle because Susan Sarandon's in it." No. I think this would have been great if we had Selma Hayek or Eva Longoria or, you know, the legend Edward James Olmos, someone, Danny Trejo, someone else could have been a villain in this film that had Mexican ancestry. I think they would have been great. Those names and others have the public profile that Susan Sarandon has. I think she was unnecessary. She didn't add value. She took up space in what is a historic, predominantly cast Latino superhero film. And the way the supervillain is, the role wasn't even necessary because a lot of the functions were already programmed. We didn't need a puppeteer, a billionaire puppeteer. I don't think so. And it felt like, so Coming to America had Louis Anderson in it, the comedian Louis Anderson, rest in peace to Louis Anderson. He was in Coming to America because Paramount execs told Eddie Murphy that he had to cast a white person, a white actor in the film. So Eddie Murphy chose Louis Anderson for these couple of scenes. And I feel like that's the type of casting Susan Sarandon is. They probably said we need to cast someone white, a white actor in this film. That sounds like, or it feels like that's what's going on here. They don't have the pulse on what we want. I don't think any of us said, "Ooh, I can't wait. I hope that Susan Sarandon's the villain in Blue Beetle." Nobody said that. So I think that was a missed opportunity to make this all Latino. That was a missed opportunity. The music, I think this would have leveled up if they licensed, because this is a $125 million budget and there's production value in the third act, but I think it would have been better to license some universal hits, pop hits by Mexicans or Mexican Americans or Latino artists that everyone knows. Like, there are a few, but I think it needed to be more. I think it needed a couple of more hits that were universal. I think that would have leveled up or livened up rather the soundtrack throughout the movie to keep it interesting. I think they should have done that. Use some of the money to license some bigger hits. Then the story wasn't original. You can see that it took concepts from Iron Man, from Spider Man, Batman a little. He did wear a Gotham University sweatshirt, and Transformers. That third act, those battle scenes were straight out of Transformers movies. That's what it felt like. It felt like it was straight out of, you pick any Transformer movie and you've seen it. That's what it felt like. So it wasn't rooted in originality. I think what the idea was to show how tight knit this Mexican American family was, but the rest of it is just so familiar. So that was that. This is a good movie, a good first swing. Out the gate, I think it's great. If this has legs, and it probably will, hopefully, if word catches on, because it doesn't have a whole lot of competition. Next weekend, there is the Liam Neeson movie and Bottoms will be released next weekend. So that's some competition. And the weekend after that, it'll be Equalizer. And then I think Barbenheimer is slowing down a tad. And this weekend it had a couple of releases, but I think this was released at the perfect time. The release date is good, but the marketing was not. And so that's probably why the Dolby Theater I went to was nearly empty, which is so unfortunate because this really does deserve more eyeballs, basically. At any rate, Blue Beetle is worth your time. See it in the theater, take your friends, support the film so that we can get more, so we can see Zolo and the other DC films, so that we can see this family popping up in the other DC, I should say DCU movies, hopefully going forward, because they're interesting, they're funny, they're likable, so that we can get a sequel. I think this film deserves a sequel. I want to see what else happens to this family going forward. I'm interested. At any rate, Blue Beetle is in theaters now.